has already begun to slow. 4 quiet places are waiting in a single line. Nothing will rush you from one to the next. The hours can blur without effort. This is one long stretch of calm. The spaces will change, but the pace will not. And the night will keep carrying you forward. A ridge observatory stays open above a dark valley. The dome slit is already set to one narrow angle. A single lamp glows beside the console. Nothing is scheduled to move. The air feels thin and dry. Metal holds a quiet cold. The words can stay in the background. The telescope stands centered under the curved ceiling. Lock pins remain seated in their holes. No motor engages. No gear turns. A counterweight bar rests in perfect balance. Its marks remain aligned. Nothing drifts. Along the wall, control panels glow in dim blocks. Numbers hold steady on small screens. No cursor moves. No message appears. A radio unit remains silent. No crackle. No test tone. Outside the slit, stars hold their positions. No cloud crosses the opening. No aircraft light passes through. The valley below stays unlit. No road light rises along the ridge. Distance remains unchanged. A ventilation grill releases a slow loop of air. Not louder, not softer, even against the dome skin. A faint tick comes once from the paneling. Cold, settling metal. Then stillness returns. A narrow walkway circles the upper ring. Handrails remain untouched. No step crosses the grate. A latch plate near the slit mechanism stays down. Paint marks remain matched. No adjustment begins. On the desk, a logbook lies open to a blank line. A pencil rests parallel to the page edge. No new entry is needed. A small clock above the shelf moves its hands. You do not follow it. The room does not respond. The telescope tube remains aimed at the same patch of sky. No tracking starts. No correction cycle begins. A thin reflection from the lamp rests on the housing. It does not brighten. It does not fade. Beyond the dome, the ridge holds steady. Trees remain still. No wind bends their tops. The sky stays clear. Stars remain precise. Nothing interrupts the view. A status light on the mount stays green. It does not blink faster. It does not change color. A sealed cabinet of spare parts remains closed. Tags hang straight. No latch shifts. The observatory remains quiet in its own routine. Light, air, fixed angles. Your shoulders drop slightly. Hands rest without tension. The bench feels firm and cool. A soft relay click sounds from the power rack. One click, then nothing. No other sound follows it. The fans keep their constant tone. continues to frame the same narrow field. Edges remain sharp. No panel rotates. Outside, the valley stays dark and complete. Inside, the lamp keeps its steady circle. Nothing needs attention now. The heater under the console cycles once. A small change in airflow. Then the same baseline returns. The temperature remains even. The glass stays clear. No condensation forms at the rim. A cable run beneath the desk remains clipped in tidy spacing. No line pulls tight. No connector shifts. A warning label near the main switch remains readable. The cover stays closed. No hand reaches for it. The night continues without a cue. The telescope remains fixed. The dome remains open. The ridge remains silent above the valley, and the observatory keeps holding the sky in place, quiet and unchanged, until the next hour arrives without being noticed. A star chart lies folded beside the logbook. Corners remain flat. No page turns. A plastic sleeve holds calibration notes. The sleeve stays clear. No finger traces the lines. Near the dome motor housing, a brake light stays off. No rotation command is active. A small service switch remains covered. Bolts around the housing remain tight. No vibration reaches the panel seam. A dew heater strip runs along the lower edge of the slit. It holds a gentle warmth. It does not change level. The metal rim stays dry. The glass stays clean. Outside, a small weather mast stands on the roofline. Its wind cups barely move. A temperature probe light blinks once, then holds. No gust pushes the ridge. No new sound reaches the dome. A thin cable loop hangs behind the console. Its tie wraps keep the spacing. No connector loosens. A spare fuse pack rests in a labeled slot. The label remains readable. The slot remains full. The bench remains where it was set. The floor remains firm beneath it. The air keeps its steady loop through the vent. Nothing needs to be restarted. Nothing needs to be improved. The system is already stable. A soft step of your own movement fades quickly. Then the room returns to its baseline. Light stays even. Fans stay constant. The dome remains open to the same narrow sky. A small lens cap sits on the tray. It stays centered. No hand lifts it. Everything remains ready without action. A red headlamp rests on a hook by the door. Its strap remains still. No switch is touched. The door seal line stays clean. No draft enters from the stairwell. The handle does not turn. The slit remains fixed at the same narrow angle. No motor engages behind the dome skin. No gear teeth move. The brake stays set. The telescope holds its aim without correction. The mount status stays green. No tracking cycle begins. A faint reflection from the console lamp rests on the tube, then disappears as you shift slightly. Along the curved wall, screens keep their dim blocks. Digits stay steady. No new line appears. The radio remains silent. No static breaks through. A small cooling fan in the power rack keeps its constant tone. It does not surge. It does not fade. It stays level against the quiet air. Outside the opening, the star field remains unchanged. No aircraft light crosses the slit. No cloud edge drifts through. The valley below stays black and still. On the desk, the pencil remains where it was set. The logbook line stays blank. No page turns. The clock hand advances without sound. A soft contraction comes from the dome rim. One brief tick, then nothing. The panel seam remains tight. The upper ring walkway remains empty. Handrails stay cold. No step touches the grate. A safety label near the motor housing remains readable, undisturbed by any movement. Near the slit edge, the dew heater strip holds its gentle warmth. The rim stays dry. No moisture gathers on the glass. The air inside remains thin and even. You stand for a moment near the console. The floor feels firm under your boots. Your shoulders settle. Nothing asks to be checked again. A cable run beneath the desk remains clipped in tidy spacing. No connector shifts. No plug loosens. The service switch cover stays down. Outside, the ridgeline remains sharp against the sky. Trees do not sway. No wind presses against the dome. The weather mast light holds its quiet blink pattern, then pauses again. A spare fuse pack remains in its labeled slot. The slot stays full. The label stays clear. A lens cap remains centered on its tray. No hand reaches for it. The telescope remains centered under the curve. Counterweight marks remain aligned. No drift appears in the balance. The instrument stays ready without action. A faint relay click comes once from the rack. Then the steady fan tone resumes. No other sound follows it. The room returns to its baseline. The slit continues to frame the same stars. The lamp keeps its small circle beside the console. The valley remains dark below the ridge. Everything stays quiet and unchanged through the next slow stretch of night. A folded star chart remains beside the calibration sleeve. Corners stay flat. The printed grid remains sharp under the dim light. No finger traces the lines. In the corner, a small cabinet door shows a numbered seal. The seal remains intact. No latch shifts. A tag hangs straight from the handle, its string unmoving. The door to the stairwell remains closed. Its gasket line stays clean. No draft slips under the threshold. The headlamp on its hook remains off. Its strap does not sway. A narrow vent above the door releases a slow, steady stream. It does not change temperature. It does not change speed. Air turns through the lower grille, quietly. Outside the slit, one star brightens only as your eyes adjust. It does not move. It does not signal anything. It simply remains present in the frame. The view stays calm. A small indicator near the mount shows a fixed value. No increment, no drop. The calibration sticker beside it remains readable, edges flat, no peeling. The console surface remains clear. A single key rests in a labeled tray. The key does not turn. The tray does not slide. A thin rubber mat under the tools stays flat. No tool rolls. A light on the weather mast blinks once more, then holds. No gust follows. The ridge remains quiet and the dome remains steady at this angle. The clock hand moves. You do not follow it. The telescope does not adjust. The room continues until the next minute settles. Tonight, the overnight sorting hall is already running at its slowest speed. Yellow belts move without urgency under steady ceiling lights. Scanning tunnels glow, but no package arrives to wake them. Nothing here needs your attention. The doors to the docks are shut. Outside, trucks are parked in dark rows. Inside, the machines keep a quiet routine. A long conveyor line runs through the center of the building. Rubber rollers turn in a measured rhythm. Every few meters, a sensor light blinks once, then rests. Metal guardrails stand straight along the edges. Warning stripes remain sharp. No shoe crosses the marked lanes. At the far end, a barcode gate holds its frame of light. It does not flash. It does not search. It simply stays ready. A small screen beside it shows a stable status. No queue number appears. No error message forms. You walk slowly beside the belts. Your steps fade into the hum and disappear. The air smells faintly of cardboard and clean oil. Overhead, ventilation moves in a steady loop. Not cold, not warm, even and forgettable. In a side alcove, a control desk glows with dim indicators. Power stays green across the panel. A single amber light marks maintenance mode. A radio handset rests in its cradle. No call comes through. No speaker crackles with instructions. Near the desk, a wall map shows the building layout. Lines mark lanes, chutes, and gates. Everything on the map matches what you see. A clipboard holds a checklist with empty boxes. A pen sits clipped to the top. No line needs to be added. The belts continue to roll with no load. Empty segments pass under the sensors. Rollers turn, then turn again. A diverter arm sits above a junction. Its joint remains still. No pneumatic hiss begins. Farther down, a spiral chute disappears to a lower floor. A safety mesh covers the opening. Nothing falls through. A small light by the chute reads, "Clear." The letters remain steady. No change interrupts them. The quiet here is not silence. It is a layered background. Motors, fans, and distant relays. None of it rises. None of it drops. Your shoulders loosen without effort. Your hands rest by your sides. The moving belts do not ask you to follow them. A short corridor leads to the loading bays. Dock doors remain sealed. Rubber bumpers stay untouched. Through a narrow window, you can see the yard lights outside. They hold fixed pools on wet asphalt. No headlight sweeps across them. Back at the main line, a scale platform sits flush with the belt. Its display remains at 0. No weight arrives to change it. A printer beside the scale holds a blank label strip. The cutter stays still. No sticker peels away. Somewhere in the ceiling, a relay clicks once. Not a warning, just a system confirming itself. Then the hum returns to its steady baseline. At the end of the hall, stacked pallets rest against a wall. Plastic wrap catches light and then releases it. The stacks do not shift. A fire door remains closed beside them. Its handle stays centered. No alarm bar moves. The belts keep their measured pace. Sensor lights blink in slow intervals. The scanning tunnels glow, unchanged. Soon, the details soften into a simple pattern. Light, movement, and quiet air. You do not need to check anything again. The hall already knows how to stay calm through the night. And as the conveyors keep turning with nothing to carry, rest can settle in the same way the machines do. Steady, unhurried, and complete. A narrow catwalk runs above the sorting line. Its grated floor holds a dull shine. No footstep crosses the metal. A camera dome watches the junction from the ceiling. Its lens does not turn. The indicator stays dim. Near an emergency exit, a time clock glows beside a blank board. No badge taps the reader. No note is pinned. Stacks of unused trays sit nested on a shelf. Their edges align. Nothing slides. A cabinet door stays shut beside the belt. A dated tag hangs from the handle. Nothing is due. Airflow shifts for a moment, then returns. A vent flap adjusts and holds. The sound is brief and gone. A wide digital clock moves 1 minute forward. You do not follow it. The hall does not react. You return to the desk and sit. The chair stays steady. Lights keep their calm pattern. The belts continue. The docks remain closed. And the routine holds until morning arrives on its own. At the center junction, a diverter arm rests above 2 lanes. Its joint stays still. No airline engages. A painted arrow on the frame points left, then right, then repeats along the rail. On the floor, a thin strip of light marks the safe path. It does not move. It simply shows where to walk. Your steps stay inside it, and the sound fades ified immediately. The conveyors continue at the same slow speed. Empty belt sections pass under the sensors. A small light blinks once, then rests. No package breaks the rhythm. Along the guardrails, warning stripes remain sharp. Bolts stay tight in their brackets. No vibration travels into the floor. The marked lanes stay clear. At the barcode gate, the frame of light stays steady. No scan tone sounds. The small status screen keeps the same line. Nothing cues. A fan above the ceiling grid turns at constant speed. Its tone remains low. It does not rise or fade. Air stays even along the hall. You walk past the spiral chute again. The safety mesh remains flat. The clear light remains on. Nothing drops through. Near the scale platform, the display remains at 0. No weight arrives. The printer roll stays blank. The cutter does not move. A relay clicks once somewhere behind a panel. One click. Then the baseline hum returns. No other sound follows. On the catwalk above, the graded floor remains unused. No step crosses the metal. The camera dome remains fixed. Its indicator stays dim. At the dock corridor, seals remain tight along the doors. Rubber bumpers remain untouched. Outside yard lights stay in their pools. No headlight sweeps the asphalt. Back at the main line, rollers turn in measured rhythm. You can feel a faint vibration through the air, not through the floor. It never changes. The belts keep moving with nothing to carry. A stack of nested trays remains aligned on the shelf. Edges stay even. No tray shifts out of the column. The stack remains stable. A time clock near the exit glows softly. No badge taps the reader. The blank board beside it remains blank. No note appears. You return to the desk and sit. The chair remains steady beneath you. Panel lights stay green. The amber maintenance light remains on. A clipboard lies where you left it. Boxes remain empty. The pen remains clipped. No line needs to be added. The hall keeps its layered quiet. Motors, fans, distant relays. None of it demands attention. Your thoughts slow without effort. At the center junction, the diverter arm remains still. Its painted arrow remains visible. No airline engages. stages. Both lanes remain empty. A floor light strip marks the safe path. It stays fixed. It does not flicker. The path remains clear. The scanning tunnels glow, unchanged. Their lenses remain clean. No barcode passes through. No beep breaks the air. Minutes pass without shape. The digital clock moves forward. The hall does not react. The routine holds its position. A vent flap adjusts once, quietly. Airflow shifts for a moment, then returns to the same steady loop. Nothing else changes. The conveyors continue turning. The docks remain closed. The lights remain steady. And the building keeps doing the same calm work until morning arrives on its own. A red emergency stop button sits on a post beside the belt. Its cover remains down. No hand lifts it. The button stays unused. A fire suppression pipe runs the length of the ceiling. No valve releases. No hiss forms in the line. Pressure stays held. Near the loading bays, a small dock leveler rests flat. Its edge stays flush with the floor. No hydraulic sound begins. The ramp remains still. A maintenance cart stands parked in a marked square. Wheels are locked. A wrench set remains closed in its case. Nothing rattles. A label scanner at the side lane keeps a steady green dot. It does not search. It does not flash. The lens remains dark behind glass. A thin strip of tape marks a repair spot on the floor. Corners stay flat. No peel lifts at the edge. The patch remains smooth. Far away, a door closer pulls shut once. Soft. Final. Then quiet again. No one appears. You rest your hands on the desk surface. It feels cool. The hum remains even. The belts continue. Empty rollers pass. The same calm pattern repeats without asking you to notice it. Rest. At this hour, the underwater dome is already quiet. Soft lights stay on along the curved corridor. The lagoon outside the glass remains dark and calm. Nothing here is expecting movement. You don't need to focus on details. The words can stay in the background, like water pressing gently against glass. The hallway follows the dome's curve in a long arc. Floor panels remain warm underfoot. Handrails run in clean lines beside the glass. No footsteps echo far. Sound fades quickly here. Outside, the lagoon holds its depth. A slow drift of particles passes through the beam of light. Then the water clears again. No wave breaks. No current pulls hard. Everything stays even. A seal line runs along each window frame. Bolts remain tight. No moisture gathers at the edges. The glass stays clear. The view stays open. A small service alcove sits halfway down the corridor. Its door is closed. A status panel shows 3 steady lights. Filter, okay. Pressure, okay. Power, okay. No warning color appears. Farther along, a bench faces the glass. Its surface is smooth and dry. A folded towel rests at one end. Nothing has been used. Nothing needs to be prepared. Outside the dome, a shadow passes slowly. Not close, not sudden. A fish moves through the edge of the light, then disappears into the dark water again. The lagoon returns to stillness. The corridor lights remain steady. They do not flicker. They do not brighten. Their glow softens the edges of the space. Corners remain calm. Time begins to loosen inside the dome. Minutes stop feeling separate. The slow water outside replaces the clock. Nothing presses forward. A narrow strip of light runs along the floor line. It marks the curve of the hall. It does not move. The path stays clear. Outside the glass, the reef line is only a darker shape. No bubbles rise. No foam forms. The water stays heavy and quiet. A small speaker above the service alcove remains silent. No announcement plays. No test tone sounds. Only the low hum of air circulation continues. The dome holds a steady pressure. You can feel it as stability, not force. Nothing shifts in the structure. The handrail remains cool. The floor remains warm. A second shadow crosses the beam. Smaller this time. It moves slower. A faint shimmer follows it for a moment. Then the water becomes uniform again. The towel on the bench remains folded. Edges stay square. No strap hangs loose. The bench stays unused, ready without demand. Time spreads wider along the corridor. Moments rest side by side. No sequence forms. The pause feels sufficient. A maintenance hatch sits near the floor. Its screws remain seated. A label remains readable under the light. Access only. No hand reaches for it. No tool approaches it. Outside, the lagoon continues to hold its calm surface. Light fades into darkness beyond the dome. Distance feels contained by the water itself. Nothing approaches the glass. A soft click comes once from the pressure panel. Not an alarm, a routine relay. Then the hum returns to its baseline. No other sound follows. You walk slowly to the far end of the corridor. The curve continues. The lights repeat at steady intervals. The pattern becomes familiar, comforting, unchanged. Outside the glass, a thin line of sand is visible near the bottom. It does not shift. No cloud of silt rises. Everything stays settled. A ladder behind a sealed door leads up to the surface module. The door remains closed. Its gasket line stays tight. No draft enters. No latch moves. Time loosens further. The idea of distance fades. Only the curve of the corridor and the steady water remain. Nothing needs to be checked again. The service panel still shows 3 steady lights. The bench remains in place. The towel remains folded. Outside, the lagoon remains dark and calm, holding the dome in quiet pressure. And the corridor continues exactly as it is, softly lit, steady and unchanged through the long hours of the night. The corridor remains in the same soft light. No fixture changes tone. No shadow deepens. The dome keeps its steady pressure. Outside the glass, the lagoon stays dark and even. Particles drift through the beam once. Then the water clears again. Nothing stirs the sand line at the bottom. The bench remains facing the window. The towel stays folded. Edges remain square. Nothing has been disturbed. Along the frames, seal lines remain clean. Bolts remain tight. No moisture beads at the corners. The glass stays clear. At the service alcove, the status panel holds its 3 lines. Filter, okay. Pressure, okay. Power, okay. No warning color appears. No tone sounds. A soft airflow moves along the ceiling duct. Not cold, not warm, even. The hum remains low and constant. Time loosens further inside the dome. Minutes do not line up. They rest evenly along the curve of the hall. No direction forms. Outside, a faint shadow passes again. Farther away this time. It moves through the edge of light, then fades. The water returns to uniform darkness. The floor strip light remains fixed. It traces the curve without motion. The path stays clear. No footstep echoes far. Sound ends quickly. A maintenance hatch near the floor remains sealed. Screws remain seated. The label remains readable. Access only. No tool approaches. A sealed door near the far end remains closed. Its gasket line stays tight. No latch clicks. No draft enters. The ladder behind it remains unused. A small relay click sounds once from the pressure panel. Then the baseline hum returns. No alarm follows. The readings remain stable. Outside the glass, the reef line stays a darker band. No bubbles rise. No foam forms. The lagoon keeps its stillness. You walk slowly along the curve again. Lights repeat at even intervals. Handrails remain cool under your fingers. The pattern stays familiar, unchanged. Time spreads wider. Moments elements rest side by side. No sequence forms. The pause feels sufficient. Outside, a single fish moves through the beam. Its body catches light briefly, then it disappears into darkness. Nothing follows it. The bench remains dry. The towel remains folded. The corridor remains clear. Everything stays prepared but unused. The dome pressure remains steady. You can feel it as stability. No structure shifts. The glass holds the water back quietly. The service panel remains unchanged. The hum remains even. The light remains soft. No signal announces a change. Outside the window, the water stays heavy and calm. Inside the corridor, the air stays steady and clean. Between them, the glass remains clear. Nothing presses forward. Nothing resolves. The corridor continues as it is. The lagoon continues as it is. The night continues without interruption. Soft light, cool handrails, dark water beyond, and the dome remains quiet, steady, and unchanged through the remaining hours of night. Near the far end of the corridor, an inspection window sits beside the sealed ladder door. Its glass remains clear. A thin rubber edge stays dry. Under the handrail, a cable conduit runs in a straight line. Clips hold it at even spacing. No vibration travels through it. Outside the dome, a fixture cycles once, and the beam shifts slightly. The change is subtle. Particles drift through, then the water clears again. A pale starfish rests on the sand line near the bottom. It does not move. Its outline stays steady. Inside, the alcove panel holds the same 3 states. No fourth light appears. No tone sounds. The corridor keeps its curve. The bench stays empty. The towel stays folded. Nothing presses forward. The dome stays quiet against the lagoon. A remote biodome rests on the edge of a quiet rainforest. The outer airlock is already sealed. Grow lights remain on in calm rows. Nothing here is in a hurry. You don't need to listen closely. The words can stay in the background, like warm air moving through leaves. Inside the biodome, the temperature stays even. A narrow walkway runs between plant beds. Water lines follow the rails in tidy clips. Condensation sits at the edges of the glass. It does not drip. It remains a thin, clear line. A misting system releases one soft burst. Not loud, not long. Droplets droplets settle on broad leaves, then disappear into the green. Above, LED panels glow in steady rectangles. No flicker, no dimming. Their light is gentle and constant. It never changes color. It simply holds the space. In one bed, vanilla vines climb a mesh frame. In another, orchids rest in bark. Small tags mark each row with simple codes. Nothing is touched. Nothing is moved. A fan turns at a constant speed near the ceiling. The tone remains low. It pushes air in a slow loop. Warm air travels down the aisle, then returns through a vent. The cycle stays quiet. Beyond the inner glass, night rain taps the outer shell. The sound is distant, filtered by panels and seals. No storm enters. Only a faint rhythm remains outside. At the control desk, screens glow dimly. Humidity holds steady. Soil moisture remains within range. No warning banner appears. A radio unit stays silent. No test tone. No voice. A clipboard rests under a lamp. The checklist is blank for this shift. A pen stays clipped. Nothing needs a note tonight. Time loosens inside the dome. Minutes stop feeling separate. The steady light replaces the clock. The plants keep their quiet stillness. Air keeps moving. Water stays contained. A drip tray beneath the pipes remains empty. No overflow. No spill. A small pump cycles once. A soft click. Then the baseline hum returns. You walk slowly to the far curve of the dome. The glass follows a long arc. Outside, the rainforest is only shadow and depth. A single security light in the trees holds steady. No beam sweeps. No figure moves. Inside, a shallow tank holds water for the misting system. Its surface remains smooth. A thin line of bubbles rises once, then stops. The tank remains calm again. The grow beds continue in neat rows. Leaves overlap. Stems remain upright. Nothing bends in wind. The air inside stays controlled. A second misting burst releases softly. Droplets settle on leaf edges, then vanish into the warm air. No puddle forms. The walkway stays dry. Near the door, the airlock panel shows seal engaged. The indicator stays green. No latch moves. The exit remains closed. Along the rail, a nutrient bottle sits in its bracket. The level line remains fixed. No hose shifts. A filter canister remains clear. No debris collects in it. The light keeps the same steady brightness. Shadows stay shallow. Corners remain calm. A fan changes speed by a fraction, then holds. The shift is subtle. same low line. Outside, rain continues across the outer shell. Inside, the biodome remains warm. The plants remain still. Nothing presses forward. You sit on a low bench beside the control desk. The surface is smooth. Your shoulders drop. The screens remain steady. The LEDs remain steady. The air remains steady. A final soft mist settles across the nearest bed. The leaves hold it briefly, then absorb it. The dome continues its quiet routine on the rainforest edge. Light, air, and water remain balanced. And the night passes without asking for attention. A CO2 sensor near the ceiling shows a steady number. It does not climb. It does not drop. A small vent above the bench releases a quiet stream. Warm air moves across the glass. The condensation line stays at the edge. Outside the dome, rain runs down the curved shell in thin paths. It gathers at a gutter seam, then drains away. Inside, the floor remains dry. No moisture reaches the rails. No drip reaches the grate. A backup battery cabinet sits under the desk. Its indicator stays green. No charger fan surges. A sealed case of spare filters rests beside it. The latches remain flat. The labels remain clear. In the far bed, a row of seedlings rests under a softer panel. Their leaves are small and still. No stem trembles. A drip emitter clicks once. One drop falls. Then silence returns. The rainforest outside stays dark and close. No beam enters the trees. No call reaches the dome. The airlock remains sealed. The dome remains warm. And the slow routine continues. A small latch on the inner door stays centered. No click follows. The LED rows keep their calm glow. Misting stays on its schedule. Outside, rain keeps moving over the shell. Inside, leaves hold still. The biodome stays awake at the forest edge, quiet and unchanged, until the next shift arrives. No alarm, no hurry, only steady warmth and light. The dome keeps its warm, controlled air. The walkway remains dry. Rails stay clean. Nothing shifts along the beds. A quiet pulse runs through the irrigation line. Not a surge, just pressure settling. The pump housing stays still, then returns to its baseline hum. Leaves hold small droplets at their edges. One drop releases. It falls into bark and disappears. No splash carries across the aisle. Above, the LED panels keep their steady rectangles. No color change, no flicker. Light stays soft enough to flatten shadows, then leaves them shallow and calm. At the control desk, a moisture graph remains stable. One line holds, another holds. No spike appears. No warning banner forms. A tiny fan inside the sensor cabinet turns in a constant tone. It does not rise. It does not fade. Warm air continues in its loop, quiet and even. Outside the shell, rain runs down in thin paths. It gathers at the gutter seam, then drains away. The sound stays distant, filtered through the curve of glass. In the nearest bed, a vine tendril rests against the mesh. Its tip remains still. A tag tied to the frame hangs straight. No strap sways. The misting nozzle clicks once. A short release. Droplets scatter lightly across leaves. They cling, then soften into the warm air, leaving no puddle on the walkway. A clear filter canister near the nutrient bottle stays transparent. No debris collects. The level line remains fixed. A clamp holds the hose tight at the joint. You walk slowly to the far curve again. The glass follows the same arc. Outside, the rainforest remains a dark mass of depth. A security light in the trees stays steady. No beam sweeps. No shape crosses it. Inside the dome, the shallow tank remains calm. Its surface holds a flat reflection. A thin bubble line rises once, then stops. The water returns to stillness. A vent louver near the ceiling shifts by a fraction. Air redirects slightly, then holds. The change is subtle, barely noticeable, and it settles immediately. On the bench near the desk, the surface stays dry. A folded cloth remains where it was placed. No edge lifts. The warmth makes the room feel sealed and complete. In the seedling row, one emitter releases a single drop. It lands in soil without sound. The leaf tips remain still. No stem trembles. A CO2 readout holds its number. No climb, no drop. The display remains calm, as if nothing could disturb it from within the dome. Outside, rain continues across the shell. For a moment, it sounds heavier. Then it thins again. The gutter takes it away, and the rhythm returns to a quieter line. A small maintenance sticker sits on the sensor panel. Calibration date printed in plain text. Edges remain flat. No hand reaches for the cover. You pause near the airlock panel. Seal remains engaged. The indicator stays green. No latch shifts. No draft enters. Behind the beds, cable clips hold their spacing. No wire touches the floor. No connector loosens. The system remains tidy, engineered, quiet. A faint sound comes from outside the dome. Not a voice, not a step. Just a brief patter of rain sliding faster across one section, then returning to the usual pace. Inside, leaves overlap in layered shapes. Glossy surfaces catch the LEDs and release them. Nothing sharpens into focus for long. The light stays gentle. The fan tone remains low. Air continues its slow loop. Warmth remains steady. No corner cools. No corner warms further. Time loosens inside the curve of glass, not because anything stops, but because nothing changes. Misting arrives, then ends. Air moves, then returns. The beds hold their quiet stillness. You sit again near the control desk. Screens remain stable. Tags remain readable. The aisle remains clear. The biodome continues its calm routine on the rainforest edge, while rain moves over the shell and drains away. Again and again, without asking for attention.